Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Lips from Anvil to the program. How you doing, Lips?
Doing good, man.
New album, Legal at Last, coming out February 14th on AFM Records, just in time for Valentine's Day.
Well, you gotta love it.
Exactly, good stuff. I usually like to approach these like I'm somebody who's fairly new to the band, at least in the beginning. I've gone to the record store, I'm looking for some new metal. I've started out in the A's, I've gone by, the ABBA and the AC/DC and the Aerosmith, the Annihilator. I've come to Anvil. I'm going to look at that cover. The first thing that's going to jump out to me is that I've always loved, and I don't know the story behind, is the logo. The design of the logo I've always loved. Can you give me a little tidbit on that?
Well, it's been there since the beginning.
Yeah.
So everybody, a lot of bands have used it as a kind of a model.
Definitely. Was it something you guys came up with yourselves, or?
Oh no, there was somebody who actually designed it.
Okay.
Way back. Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm going to see the cover, and I'm going to see the title, and I know there's a connection there between Legal at Last and the anvil-shaped bong and everything. I know you've probably told this more times than not the last few weeks since the album's come out. Give me just a little bit on that. I know it has to do with the legalization of a certain product up in Canada now.
Yeah, marijuana has become legal in Canada, and everything is kind of connected, lyrically speaking, throughout the album. Certainly, the environmental sort of aspect about what I'm talking about in a number of different songs, like "Plastic in Paradise," "Gasoline." A few of the songs there. They're all kind of connected to the legalization of marijuana. Marijuana was made illegal originally, not because it's bad for you or not because it got you stoned. It was because it was a massive, massive threat to the world economy. And what I mean by that, or how does that work out? Well, it would have decimated the cotton industry. It would have decimated the pulp and paper industry. Maybe even the fuel industry, because you can make diesel fuel from marijuana. There's so many different uses for it.
Yeah.
Not to mention the medical aspects. The medical aspects we've depleted from making it illegal. We depleted it throughout our ecosystem and in our food chain. So none of us have any of the chemicals that are found in marijuana in our bloodstreams, which actually makes us more open to cancers. And that is why they have discovered that by taking CBD oils, that it actually helps fight cancer.
Right.
And there's so many things about marijuana that it should have been legal all along. Certainly, your health aspects and whether it's good for you or bad for you is of no concern to the government. Never has been. Otherwise, there would never be such thing as cigarettes and alcohol. So let's be realistic about it. And it has nothing to do with it. It's all about business.
I agree, 100%. You mentioned... Go ahead, I'm sorry to cut you off.
The world needs to change. That's what has to happen.
Definitely. You mentioned some of the songs, and I had this sort of lined up for a couple minutes in, but I want to jump to them now because there are a few songs that really jumped out to me. First thing I've got to ask is, obviously, you guys played pretty close attention to the sequencing on this album, I'm thinking, correct?
Well, it's really, the sequencing is extremely important on every record, so that when you listen, it always, whatever comes up next catches your ear properly and is in the right key, the right tempo, and maybe even the right subject matter.
Right.
Sequencing is extremely important. Yes.
So the two songs that sort of jumped out at me first as I was playing through the album, which by the way, Lips, this is a great album, fantastic album. Chemtrail, and then the way it segues into Gasoline,
Right.
I thought was phenomenal. Can you give me a little background on each of those songs?
Well, chemtrails is that's once again about environment and the way that what that actually is. The reason you can't find out information about chemtrails, not really, and whatever information that you're finding out, or what I've found out, is that they're spraying chemicals into the air. And what chemicals are they spraying in the air? Particularly a chemical called alumina, which is a form of aluminum. And why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that to slow down the process of global warming. It actually deflects sunlight from getting through the atmosphere and warming up our climate.
Okay.
Now, the offshoots of that, or where is the science? Where is the proof? Well, there isn't. They're not telling us shit. People want to say it's a conspiracy theory. Well, conspiracy theory? Well, I want to know why there are checkerboards in the sky. Certainly planes don't fly patterns just for the hell of it.
Right.
I see patterns. I don't just see a streak across the sky. I see multiple streaks across the sky in a checkerboard. That to me does not look like it's vapor trails from passenger planes.
Right.
That looks like they're spraying something up there. What are they spraying? Why are they spraying? You go and try and look it up on the internet, and you can't really find out the information, and they're not giving it to you. No one knows those. So right away, everybody goes, well, it's a conspiracy theory. Well, if you want to call that a conspiracy theory, then so is God.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then I just got to say, well, show me the science, show me the proof, and no one can.
Right.
But he exists, right?
Yeah.
Or she exists. And then you get into a whole shit knot of discussion of whether God is a male or female. If there is even about an invisible guy that you can't see and there's no proof of. And then we'll go to war for it.
Right.
But chemtrails is a conspiracy theory. It's something that you can see in the sky every day. Okay, great. Okay, so that's where chemtrails comes from.
And then yeah.
Gasoline is the biggest and most important commodity on Earth today. Everybody needs it. It is liquid gold. It is our currency, and countries go to war over it to the point where that's where the crux and the heart and soul of the problems of this world are all centered around gasoline. Environmentally, socially, on every level. And it's all something that should have been fixed a long time ago.
I agree. I agree, definitely, 100% with you. Would you say this is almost sort of like, in a roundabout way, a concept album, kind of?
Yeah, well, you know what's really interesting? It was not intentional. So, is it a concept album? No, it just ended up that way.
There's a theme there, yeah.
Yeah, there's like an underlying theme, and it somehow, in a certain sense, there's a certain thread of it that all pertains to marijuana and its legalization. Certainly, if hemp had been used to make biofuel,
yeah,
you know, if we'd been using batteries instead of fossil fuels, we wouldn't have chemtrails, right?
Right, exactly.
So everything in some way or another is somehow connected to the concept of marijuana being legalized, which it should be all over the world.
Right.
It really needs to be fixed.
The other two songs that jumped out to me, subject matter and the way they sort of flowed together, was Talking to a Wall and Glass House. Talking to a Wall was great. Glass House was probably my favorite tune on the album. Killer riff on that one. But those two songs I thought were pretty awesome as well. Would you mind giving us a little bit on those as well?
Well, Talking to the Wall is sort of you all these things that I'm talking about. You tell people, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to know. You try to tell people of authority, and forget it. It's not going to work. It never happens. It's the concept and the idea of, the hippies from the 60s. They tried everything they could to change it, to change the world, to make it a better place, and then they turned into the leaders of this world, making it a worse place than it's ever been.
True.
So who am I taking that complaint to?
Right.
I'm talking to the wall. That's what that's about.
Right.
As far as how does Glass House fit into that? That's us all living in paranoia. So we've got all this security going on, and we trust no one, and we've got cameras everywhere. And what's that turning into? They're soon going to microchip everybody, so everybody will be able to be found by an application in a phone or an application in a computer. We'll know how much money they have in their bank, what bank it's in, where they spend their money, how they spend their money. Eventually, we're not even going to have money. It's all going to be done by plastic cards.
Right.
You can watch where people come and go, and where they've been, and how they're getting there, what make their car is, how much gasoline, how far they have to go to work. Every aspect of human existence will be trackable. All in the name of security. What the hell are we doing? What's happened to our freedom? Everybody talks about our freedom and a democracy. We're getting worse than anything that we knew as far as communism goes, and we're all bringing it on ourselves. All in the name of security. That's scary. That's what Glass House is about.
Totally ironic that I played this album Friday night, and prepping for this interview, and then Sunday in the Sunday New York Times, there's an entire section devoted to how we're being tracked by our cell phones, the towers and surveillance. It was like a 10-page expose. I mean, I'm like, wow, it was.
What I did is when I write my music or my lyrics, I'm a product of the environment.
Right.
So I'm just reflecting on the things that are around me. So it doesn't surprise me that you saw an expose on how what we're doing to ourselves, and we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah. Is this something that you're seeing worldwide? You hear differences in between here in the States and Canada, and then overseas. England, Britain, and then Japan. Is it a worldwide thing you're seeing, Steve, or is it sort of just to one area?
No, it's a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely worldwide thing.
It's
I mean, they surveillance cameras are everywhere. Is it? I don't know, and you don't even know that you're being watched.
Yeah, all right. That's a scary thing. Right. Currently, you have just to chat about another song for a moment. You got a video out for Nabbed in Nebraska, which is pretty cool. Have any other videos in the pipe for this album?
The video that came out about 15 minutes ago.
Okay.
We're illegal at last.
Ah, all right. I hadn't checked YouTube before I came on.
Yeah.
I think I checked it about a half an hour ago. So excellent. Very cool. Very good stuff. You recorded this album over in Germany. You used the same producer for the last 3 consecutive albums. Obviously, there's a chemistry connection here. Can you
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that? I don't want to butcher their names, so if you can mention their names, that'd be great.
Jörg Eucken and Martin Pfeiffer.
Okay.
They're a couple of really great guys who do a fantastic job, and we like working with them. Very, very comfortable and very, very reasonably priced.
Always good.
You put all things together and you keep going back.
Yeah, that's good. I mentioned this earlier. Loads of guitars on this. A lot of layers to the guitars. You worried about being able to pull any of this off live, or you're a professional?
I would really, I wouldn't really say it's that layered. Not in my opinion.
Okay.
Didn't really use more or less than normal.
Okay.
I play a bed track guitar that's from top to bottom in every song. Then I play basically a double of it so that it's balanced on both speakers.
Okay.
It's exactly the same track played twice. And then there's a third rhythm track, which is I call the complementary track, which is where it does certain hits and places that actually plays more specifically with the bass.
Okay.
Certain augmented hits and stops and starts and I don't even know what you would call it. It's just like sort of like a second guitar track that is part of the bass track, really. And that's the extent of all the rhythms. And then I play lead guitar. That's it.
Right.
So it's no more or no less than anything I've ever done. So,
okay.
But having said that, the engineer Jorg is absolutely incredible. He really captures guitar tones amazing, particularly my guitar tone. I use an unusual setup in the sense that I'm using Fender Twins, which are not common, or not for rock. It's not for heavy metal guitar anyway. But like most guys are using, because they think that Marshalls are the best, they use Marshall. But realistically, Marshalls are copies of Fenders, and I use Fenders, and that's the original shit. So the real rock and roll, like
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I use the original amps that it all started with. So that's what I like. A very, very, very huge sound. Huge.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is a very huge sound. Overseas tour in March and April. Any plans to come to North America after this, or?
Oh yeah, we start from February 26th right through to the 3rd of May, and then we're doing Canada in the summertime, and then by September we expect to do about 10 to 12 weeks of touring all through the USA.
Nice.
So expect to see us in September and October.
Great. Looking forward to that. Very, very good stuff. I wanted to talk to you briefly about something I read about you that sort of intrigued me. I want to make sure I get it right. I read it on the internet, Lip, so it's got to be true. In your family, you were the third of 4 children. Do I have that right?
Yep.
So, and I think I might have even quoted you. What sort of made you a bit of who you are with being a frontman and dynamic and out there was having to put up with a lot of crap from your 2 older siblings, sort of shaped you to be, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, who you are,
Yeah, I think that there's a relevance to your position in your family, how you end up. I was really the black sheep. I did not do what everybody else did, that's for sure. I think I was looking for my own niche, my own place.
Sure.
And relevance and position. I had to find my own place because in a family of that size, I wanted to be something that you couldn't compete with, just like my brothers were.
Right, definitely. I mean, the reason why I kind of asked that is I have 4 children myself, and our third is a girl, is a daughter, and she has marched to the beat of her own drummer from almost day one, and it's sort of the same scenario. The 2 older siblings sort of had a bond, and she came in, and just had to go off on her own and strike her own chord, which she definitely has, you know. And then with the fourth one being the baby, well, the baby is the baby, you know.
Yeah, well, the baby is sort of the same but different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's actually interesting. The way my family was, the firstborn was a boy, the second was a girl, and then boy and boy.
Okay.
And it was there was a kind of a separation because the two eldest were the closest one was 6 years old, which was my older sister, and then my older brother was 8 years older. So they were kind of like, well, but particularly my older brother was almost like a father in a figure.
Mm-hmm.
He had to live up to his expectations, big time.
Mm-hmm.
Big time, and he was brutal.
Yeah.
Because it's not your father. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
It's not your father, and he can be as mean as he wants to be or can be, and you got to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that became a very, very normal, and you become comfortable. So what effects does that have? Well, then when you go to get married or you go to look for a partner, you're comfortable with somebody who's extremely critical, like mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comfortable with it, so that's what it turns into.
Wow.
So it has an incredible your position in your life has an incredible effect on what happens.
Right.
My older brother helped me in many ways, in the sense of prodding me on and giving me the go ahead, go after it. My dad was indifferent, and my dad was too busy making money and supporting the family to actually have a really big part in my upbringing. My older brother really took more precedence in it, in a certain sense. But being an older brother, he was a lot more brutal than a father could be.
Right. Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah, and I see the same thing happen with my kids. Yeah.
They have no resentment, no resentment or bad feelings. Like, it's what it was, and I accept it because that's what was normal, and I don't know any different because that's what it was.
Yeah.
But having said that, it was a great inspiration. He was, being the 8 years older, of course, he's bringing in music that, a 10-year-old is never going to know about.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I'm listening to Jefferson Airplane and the Doors and Jimi Hendrix in grade 6. No one at my age group even knew what that stuff was. They're too busy listening to the Monkees.
Right.
Well, this is the thing,
Yeah.
and him listening to this music and picking at the guitar, he was able to show me what he could figure out, and he taught me a lot of stuff as a kid, so I had a lot of a homegrown guitar teacher.
Right. Excellent.
And influence. So there was that, and being of the Jewish faith, by the time I was 13, my sights were already, I'm going to be a musician, and my older brother was very instrumental in directing my parents, well, you got to go out and get him a Fender guitar.
Cool. Fascinating.
Very, very, very important, very, very important aspects of how it shaped and changed and made the person that I am.
Right. Definitely.
So, yeah, it's all good.
Cool. Talking with Lips here on Let's Discuss the Lance Hall Anvil new album Legal at Last, coming out February 14th on AFM Record. I know we're running short on time. You probably got another interview lined up. I always like to wind up with a couple of just fun questions. I'm hoping these are questions you've never been asked. Does that sound good?
Let's go.
All right. Given your choices of household chores, dishes or laundry?
Dishes.
Favorite toy growing up as a child?
My guitar.
Favorite old school wrestler?
Haystacks Calhoun.
There you go. There is a classic. Let's see. What is the other one I have here? Current cell phone ringtone.
A regular phone.
Just the regular one? All right. And I always wind up with this one, and I realize, of course, we had the Anvil Story of Anvil documentary out, but I asked these before all these rock doc picks came out. If they were to make a movie of your life, what actor would you have play you in the movie? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
Wow. Jeez. I couldn't answer that. I don't know how to answer it. No answer.
No answer? Okay. All right, then last one. I'll throw this one at you. Would you rather be stranded on a desert island alone or with someone you hate?
I'd rather be alone.
Rather be alone? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Once again, we have been chatting with Lips, lead vocalist, guitarist for Anvil. That album, Legal at Last, coming out February 14th on AFM Records. I've heard an advance copy. Fantastic album, Lips. Killer stuff. Pass it on to Rob and Chris, right?
Okay, I will.
And thank you very much for your time today.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Take care.